Hey y'all, this is Lauren Mobley, and welcome to Library on Lock. Library life can be full of ups and downs, but you can always come kick it with me and my guests to laugh, learn, and let loose. All things library, all the time. Or, at least until I change my mind. Here I can guarantee you we'll mix things up and lock it down. We're back again with my library love and social media inspo, Rachel Welsh. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Welcome back, everybody. I am here tonight or this morning, whenever you're listening, with my good Judy, Rachel Welsh. Rachel, introduce
Hello.
yourself.
How are you?
I'm great. I am, riding my little podcast wave. Things are going good though. I'm so excited that people are liking it, that we're what I'm putting out. So I'm just gonna
Oh my
keep
God, the
doing it.
first the first episode was so cute. And yeah, I saw all the comments. I went in and I left a comment. You have to leave a comment for the pod. Give the reviews.
Yes, please, please. The reviews and the follows, I guess. I don't really
Yeah.
know how those things work, but
I'm
yes.
following on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts.
You know what? You're a real
Wherever
one,
you get your
Rachel.
podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah, you are a real one. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm so grateful for my first two guests, Karina and Holly, and now you. Now you're part of the Library on Lock podcast crew. Look at you, girl.
I feel
Look at that.
very, very special.
You are. You are though. So tell us about yourself.
So I live on the Gulf Coast of Texas, so I'm about an hour south of Houston. I grew up here, which is, interesting within itself right now politically. But yeah, so I've been a librarian. This is my 10th year as a librarian, my 16th year in education. So I know I'm older than I look.
Wait, that's so cool though. 10 years? I think
Yeah.
Karina said she's been doing it for that long too, and I know Holly's been there for a while as well. Goodness, I feel like a little baby. This is
How
my
long have
third
you?
year.
Oh yeah, but you're making up for lost time though. I definitely wouldn't have thought
Mhm.
that you were. When I was a baby librarian, I felt like I had no idea what I was doing,
But when
which
you
I'm
were a baby librarian, was there even social media?
not
Like,
really. I mean, honestly,
like no shade, but like,
yeah,
but,
it
it's kind of
definitely
like blooming
wasn't.
now.
Yeah, I didn't have, so my first library job was at an elementary school. And I didn't have, like it wasn't one that you had accounts for your schools, like school accounts wasn't really a thing.
Hmm.
I ran the Facebook account for my school, but it wasn't library specific. And then it was when I moved to the high school that I got really into social media with the teens.
Girl, and
They
you
they made
are
me cool.
so good on social media. You are so good. But okay, wait, but I want to pause that because we got
Okay.
some other stuff to talk about before we talk about you blowing up the TikTok and the Instagram reels. Because when I tell you you are consistent, I can count on a Rachel Reed's post because the girl is gonna post, and it's gonna be so
That's because
funny.
I
But
it's because I don't have a life,
I'm
Lauren.
dead.
I have nothing else but scrolling. And when it's a happy scroll, it's nicer than a doom scroll. So if I can contribute to the happy scrolling, then I'm glad to do it.
I appreciate that because doom scrolling, yeah, not pleasant.
Yeah.
But so, how did you even get into the library?
So I actually went to college. So I went to Texas A&M University. I wanted to be a veterinarian. That is the only thing I wanted to be. I started as a biomedical science major, and then took chemistry and was like, oh, absolutely not. So always, I had always been really into reading and writing as a kid. I grew up in the library. My mom is a big reader, so she used to take my brother and me to the library, and was just always I always had the most accelerated reader points in the school. Um, was just always into that. So I changed my major to English literature, and people would ask me, are you going to be a teacher? And I was like, no. Mm-mm. But it turns out there's not much to do with an English literature degree. So I stuck around. I did a little victory lap, and I graduated in December of 2007. with my BA in English. And then I stayed in College Station and for an extra semester, and I subbed because what else are you going to do? I worked at World Market and sold wine. And then
I love
I
that
started
story.
subbing, and it was very much like a universe thing. Because my first sub job was as like a kindergarten teacher, and
Mhm.
I like almost left in the middle of the day. It was so stressful. But then I got the high school librarian position. So the high school librarian was retiring, and so she was taking all of her days. So it was a 2-week position,
Uh-huh.
and there was another librarian at the school. So I was basically just like hanging out with the librarian, and I spent the whole 2 weeks, like drinking coffee, like just kind of like checking out books to kids. And it was so chill and so much fun. And so while I was there, I was talking to them. um and they said, oh, to be a librarian in Texas, you just have to be a teacher for 3 years. I was like, oh, okay. And so I signed up for an alternative certification program while I was at the high school library. So my teaching career, my career in education has always been to be a librarian. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I became
I
a high school English teacher. I was an English teacher, and then I taught theater. So I did English and theater for 6 years, and then got the job at the elementary library. I was an elementary librarian for 5 years, and then high school for 4. And then this is my first year as a middle school librarian.
What a story. So that's so cool
Yeah. So it
that you
kind of,
like
yeah, it's kind of all over.
had that in mind though, like, okay, I'm going into like I want to be a librarian. I was an English major too in college for
Yeah.
undergrad. I got my master's in English education because
Nice.
but I thought I was gonna be a journalist. That was my goal.
See, I thought about majoring in journalism, but A&M changed it like either a year or two before I started there, and they didn't have the major in journalism. I would have had to minor in journalism.
Um,
And so I meant to, and then just, got tired. So,
well, I changed my mind because I had to take a statistics class, much like your chemistry story. And
oh,
I was in there the first day and I was like, "Oh no, baby. This not gonna work."
no.
So I went like the same day, dropped that class, and then went to my advisor and was like, "What can I do?" Because
Yeah.
this is not it.
Yeah.
This is not gonna work for me.
Yeah.
Um, how cool. So you've been in every level. What do you think
Yeah.
about middle school, girl? Because,
It's
whew.
interesting. It's not bad. So, like every district does middle school kind of differently. So when I was in middle school, my middle school was sixth, seventh, and eighth.
Mhm.
But the district that I'm in now, their middle school is fifth and sixth grade, and then they have junior high, which is seventh and eighth. Right.
Oh, so your school is fifth and sixth graders?
It's only fifth and sixth. Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's like I think Amanda Jones School is like that, fifth and sixth grade.
Yeah, it's some districts do that. It's strange. Like everybody kind of has something different.
Huh.
Yeah, I was like, back in my day, middle school was sixth, seven, eighth. Yeah. And I know that's Karina is at a middle school and hers is sixth, seven, eighth.
Yeah, that's how mine is.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I've actually had you're my third episode and third middle school librarian. We're
Yeah.
on like a middle school crunch.
Ick.
But
My heart lies with high school, I must say. I'm definitely going to try to get back to that. That's where I'm pretty passionate. Um, yeah, so that's kind of my end goal. I'm enjoying the kids in my school, but it's not forever. Middle school is
I
not.
get you. What are some of the biggest
They're pretty
differences
needy.
between being yes, they are muted. But what are some of the biggest differences between being a high school librarian and being a middle school librarian?
I will say I feel like every level you're kind of like the fun aunt of the school.
Right.
You don't have consistent classes that you're in charge of. I mean, even when you're on rotation, like you're not their teacher of record. Um, so the biggest difference with high school and middle school is high school, you have to work really hard to get them engaged in the program. So that's where I kind of found the fun, was like coming up with activities, coming up with different things that would get them in, because
Mhm.
the high schoolers have so many things going on. So you have to really like try hard to show them your value other than just books,
Right.
um, for teachers and students alike. So I did a lot of kind of filling the gaps as a high school librarian, where I saw, different needs. So we did, around homecoming, we did a homecoming mom hospital. So I had like glue guns and ribbons. So homecoming moms, for those of you who are not from Texas, are these huge, like, I think the kind of top of it is supposed to resemble a carnation, and they're ridiculous, and they're covered in ribbons and glitter and all sorts of nonsense. It's for the homecoming game, and they wear them like affixed to their shirts or jackets, but they've become like this enormous monstrosity that's just covered, and so they always break. So we did,
Baby,
they were falling
those
apart.
mums.
Mhm.
Those mums.
Yes.
I heard about them a little bit, having all my library friends from Texas, but I saw them in person at
Yeah.
ASL.
Oh,
And
that's right.
baby,
Yes.
I said, "What?
Yes.
What is this?" And they were like, "Oh, these are small."
Yes. So my mom is from New York. So I did not do the homecoming mom, because that was the same thing. She was like, "What? You want me to spend how much money
Right, and
on
they're
some ribbons?
expensive.
They're so expensive." Yeah. So she was like, absolutely not." But yeah, the kids, it's wild. And they're just hanging, like pulling at their clothes.
Somebody said they have
Um,
like backpack straps,
yes,
like a wear
yes,
'em, like.
they're ridiculous. But yeah, so I mean, we had kids that came into the library to fix their mums before school even started, because they were already like, they're so heavy, they just fall apart. So that was one cool thing that we did. And it's just getting them in the door, and then they can see like all of the cool stuff that you have. And you kind of can make that connection with them. Whereas with middle school, you know, it's not as difficult to get them in. For one, like most of the time, most people are on rotation, or they have regular classes. Um, and they're much more interested in reading. Not that the high schoolers weren't, but it was a smaller subsection, because again, they just have so much going on.
Right.
Um, but yeah, we focus a lot more on literacy, I think, in middle school, and like the reading aspect of it. Whereas at the high school, we still had books and we still focused on like literacy aspects of it, but it was a lot more about community, about
Mhm.
research, and getting them ready for college. So a lot more of the activities and the programs that I did were databases, how to read a scholarly journal, how to access, all of these things, like JSTOR, how to get into, like the kids that were doing dual credit classes, how to
Right.
get into the community college libraries, because they don't have that, especially in post COVID, when they weren't going to the campuses, and everything was, virtual. They didn't have anybody showing them those resources. So that was where we kind of came in, and we did a bunch of seminars on how to access those things. That's going to take them through, and definitely into college and then beyond, when we did a lot of fact checking, and how to
Right.
misinformation stuff. So
Don't be duped. Everything you see on TikTok is not true.
yeah, that's true.
Like, guys, they're
But
just trying to
sometimes
get
I
a
do believe
rise out of you.
those cats are talking.
Oh my gosh. It makes you think about that funny video with the judge who turned into a cat
Oh
during the
my God.
meeting. I'm
I am
not a
not a
cat.
cat.
I'm not a cat. Like, obviously,
Like,
sir.
I mean, I can see that you are a cat, sir. So I don't know why you're trying to tell me differently. Telling me not to believe my eyes.
That
Yeah.
is so funny. Yeah, I came from teaching high school, and so my first time being in a middle school was this position as a middle school librarian, and I was like, "Oh, aren't y'all cute?"
Let
Okay.
me ask, so do you have the So I called it an emergency supply station in high school. Do you have like the menstruation supplies and deodorants and stuff?
Actually, I don't house them in the media center, but we do have a dignity closet, if you will, like
Yeah.
a dignity room where anyone who needs supplies can go and get those materials. My school
Yeah.
also has like a pantry, washers and dryers. Like it's a community resource
Oh, that's
for
cool. Yeah.
for people, for not just the students, but their families who may need things. We do a lot of things to support our community in that aspect.
Awesome.
Yeah. Trying to help out where we can, give back to the community.
You have to.
I actually teach or work in the same county that I grew up in. So I went to middle school and high school here
Oh,
and then
nice.
came back and taught and I'm teaching here, yeah.
Mhm.
So that's important to me.
Mm.
But oh my gosh, that's so awesome that because I think about the high schoolers and I'm like, I feel like sixth graders are kind of like, ooh, let's go to the library. Like they're still kind of excited from elementary
Yeah.
school. But I'm like, the high schoolers, dang, how do you get them in? So that's awesome that you're giving them what they need.
Yeah. We did a prom hair tutorial. I had a hairstylist come in and do like a little showcase on how to do like easy prom, like updos for kids that couldn't afford it. And then yeah, like a lot of kids just kind of need just like a quiet space to hang out. So, just kind of like showing that we had that too.
Right. Random, do you do lunch?
We did, yes. So they did construction on the school, on the high school, and the library turned into a cafeteria space.
What?
They would get their food, they would go through the cafeteria line,
Uh-huh.
um, and there wasn't enough space in what was the cafeteria, so they got to bring their food into the library, and it was disgusting. Never again. It was so bad. So then when we moved, because we moved into a new building and everything was like shiny and new, and like anytime I would hear like the slightest crinkle, I was like, who has chips? Who has
The
chips? Like,
the chip bag noise
like,
is
no.
not
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so we did lunch at the high school. They would have to come in and get a pass. Um, and we tried to limit it to keep it, kind of
clean,
not necessarily clean,
manageable.
but yeah, manageable, that we had enough seats for everybody. But yeah, they were not allowed to bring food in.
That is so funny. I have this one kid. I let my reading ball team, like one of the perks of being on the reading ball team is you can have your lunch in the media center because we
Nice.
never meet. So I'm like, you can come have your lunch in here and read or, do what you want. Thanks for being on
Yeah.
the reading ball team. I appreciate you. But one
Yeah.
of my kids, she's always bringing rice, man. And I'm like,
No.
please, please.
The
Please
worst was
stop
when
bringing rice to the library for
no,
your
I don't know
lunch.
what it is about cafeterias that like when they serve pizza, they have to serve corn. I don't understand it. And so every time they would have pizza, they would have, I don't get it. They would have this little like bowl of corn. And so there would just be corn all
Mm,
over. It was so gross. I did that at the elementary school. That was one of my tickets. Like one of the prizes that they could get was lunch in the library with a friend. They got to choose a friend and they could come and
mhm.
like we would sit and eat together. Um, but then I would make them
Dang,
clean it. They would have to, I would give them, okay, here's your wipe, like wipe it down.
baby, I forgot about that incentive.
Mhm. It's cheap.
Um, yeah, that's a good one, lunch and
Great.
library, because
Yeah.
they would love that. But Jesus, please don't bring the rice or the corn.
I don't, yeah.
So let's talk about all these videos, girl, because like I said earlier, you you be posting like and
Yeah.
I cannot keep up. So where did you I mean, what's like I guess your favorite social site? Like where do you start? I'm assuming you make one video and then you cross post them or what?
Yeah, I always start in TikTok, just because that
Mm,
seems to be the easiest for me to edit and to do. And honestly, I just started it last year. And I was at the high school and the kids were on TikTok and I wanted to
right.
be cool. And at first I was like, I'm not going to show myself, like I'm just going to do like books or I'll get the kids to do stuff. And then I realized like, oh wait, the kid like that's not gonna work. So I learned that I had to put myself out there in order for the kids to feel safe with me, to
Mm.
thank them. Um, I did feature students because they were teenagers and they all had their own accounts and able to consent. With my middle schoolers, I have a library ambassador program that I took from Karina from Q and then from Melissa Solario. She also has it. I think they have the same program. And so I stole it real fast when I got to middle school and realized I wasn't going to have TAs or aides anymore. And they have an application that they have to fill out and they have to have their parents sign it. And part of it says that they're giving their children permission to appear in the school library social media, because I do have a school library account. And so I post them on that account. But I still try not to like show faces too much or to do anything that's like overexposing them. But once I started posting myself and once the kids started seeing it on TikTok, and then I had the high school library page that I would post them to, then the kids had a lot of buy-in into it. And they actually started coming to me with ideas. Like they had, like one girl had a whole folder of sounds that she thought that would be good for the library. It was really funny. And I would just kind of ask the kids, like, do you think this is funny? And sometimes they would say no, and I would do it anyway because I thought it was funny.
I love that because that's a great idea because I'd be stressed out, like not stressed out, but I'm searching through these sounds. I'm searching
Mhm.
through these sounds like, and I wish I had a little team of sound finders. Now I'm gonna put that on my library ambassadors. Like, I need y'all to bring me
Yes.
some sounds and then connect it to something in the library that makes sense
Well,
and funny because
and it's funny because you are probably on a different algorithm than your kids. I
right.
know that I definitely mine's all like teacher burnout and like puppies and stuff. So the kids last year would come up and be like, "You need to do more things that are on trend." And I was like, "I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I am very trendy with fellow millennials. Like, I don't know what you're talking about." There was something that was like from some Lyle the Crocodile movie with Shawn Mendes, and they were like, "Oh," they were cracking. I thought it was the dumbest thing. But they had me do it and it got a lot of likes. It was some like la 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 la. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's not
No,
on
yeah.
my feed, girl.
It
I
was
don't know.
so weird. And they were telling me, they were kind of instructing me on what to do. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing. It's from some movie and they thought it was hilarious. And I was like, oh, okay.
That is so funny. Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta recruit them. I have to
Yeah.
recruit them so that they can help me get my page popping with the cool stuff. I like that in your TikTok bio. You're like, something cool, not cringe. Cause
Yeah.
girl, I'm real cringy.
Yeah. They would, yeah. I probably am too, but I like to deny. I'm a cool mom.
You are a
Which
cool
the
mom.
fact that I say that isn't makes me not cool because the kids don't even understand the Mean Girls things anymore.
Oh my God, the Mean Girls musical. I'm so excited about, but that's like too off topic. I am ready. I'm so ready for this. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I just figure if I make myself laugh with something, then I just figure that I'm gonna make somebody else laugh. So
hmm, we've
do
got
it.
some other things in common besides our love for Mean Girls. We
Mhm.
both love freaking RuPaul's Drag Race
I almost started this
and
with hello,
drag in
hello,
general.
hello.
You should have.
I should
We
have.
can we can edit that in.
Yes, yes. Hello,
I
hello, hello,
freaking
squirrel
love it.
friends. Yeah,
Right.
love RuPaul's Drag Race.
And we're both super tall. How
Yes.
awesome is that?
How tall are you? 6?
I'm 6'1".
You're 6. See, I'm only 6.
You're still tall, girl.
Yeah, I know. I know. I always forget, and then I'll stand next to somebody who's like 5'2", and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Well, the kids remind me every day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny too, because whenever I do meet people offline in person, they're like, You're really tall.
Yes. Yep.
I'm like looking down, like, yes, I
I always
know.
have I always feel like I kind of have to warn people. Do you do that? Or like, just so you know, I am actually a very tall person.
No,
Going
no.
to be surprised.
No, not anymore. Now, look, when I was, it's also off topic. When I was like, dating on the apps and stuff, I'd be like, "Hello, I need heads up."
Yeah. Like you may have in your profile that you're 6 feet, but I will be able to know if you're
Right.
actually 5'10".
Like, that's so funny. I'm sorry, my voice sounds so freaking grouchy.
'Tis the season for,
Right.
yeah. I had this horrible cold like right before Thanksgiving break.
Oh gosh, we're on the struggle bus. It's almost Christmas though, so if we can just hang on, just
No,
gotta
so
keep
close.
pushing, y'all. Just
So
keep
close.
on pushing. Oh my gosh, we've been talking, girl. Before I let you go, I was gonna ask about your advocacy roles. You're involved
Mhm.
with Tassel, and what is Proco?
Oh, so Proco is now it's called Conference Planning Committee. It was the programming committee for the TLA annual conference. So basically I like helped put the conference together and I did the 2021 conference. Um which was super fun. It was difficult, so that was the one. It was right after COVID. Um so we planned it. It was planned to be a completely virtual conference. So
Oh,
it was interesting. Um, yeah, advocacy is very important to me. I'm very involved with the Texas Association of School Librarians. Um, I believe very strongly in representation, and all of our students need to feel represented in the library. I mean, at bare minimum, because they are in the world. Um, I feel like all kids need to be able to see themselves, and that goes for the way that they look, the experiences that they've had. That's one of the big fights that we have, especially in Texas, with all of the House bill, Senate bill, all of the kind of um, difficulties that we're having with book banning and book censorship, especially around what is considered sexually explicit when it comes to experiences that kids may have, even though it's ugly. Like we have kids that are assaulted both physically and sexually, and to just because a book might depict that in what an adult might think is an explicit way doesn't mean that that's not something that somebody has gone through, and to
mhm.
completely erase that and saying like this is wrong and this is bad. Well, what are you saying about the person that represents? Like if somebody can find solace and to feel less alone by seeing their experiences in a book, or knowing that they're not weird or they're not dirty or bad because something has happened to them. I think that's very important. And it's something that we need to remember. And it's hard because those things are ugly and those things are bad and they're difficult to read. Um, but it's important for kids to feel supported in those ways.
Absolutely, and feel seen. And I just feel like it's so important for all librarians. Like we have a big responsibility. But yeah, absolutely. Like all librarians should be advocates for their students and just thinking about how important representing every single student's experiences is. So thank you for that. That's really, really insightful, Rachel. What are you
Thanks.
reading, girl? You just mentioned
Um,
some hot books. What are you reading?
so I have spent my year, so I was on the TASOS reading list committee, which is the reading list that TLA has for 9th through 12th graders. So I spent my whole year reading young adult books, and man, there's some good young adult books out there.
Mm.
It is not the same as when we were kids, and it was a really great year full of books. So my favorites for the year are The Black Queen by Jumata Emil, Dear Medusa by Olivia Cole. Those are really good ones. The House of Marionne by J. Cole. And what I'm currently reading, so I am rereading The Lightning Thief,
Oh,
the Percy Jackson, the Rick Riordan, to prepare for the new show that's coming out. So I haven't read it since I was an elementary librarian. then I read it with a bunch of my students. So I wanted to kind of remind myself, kind of wash the movie out of my mind.
No,
And
I have never seen that.
the movies are terrible. The
I have
movies are
never read it. I've never seen it. Like,
Well, if the movie isn't bad, if you forget that it's based on a book, it's just it
oh,
changes so
okay.
much. But the show is supposed to be really good. I saw Rick Riordan came to Houston, and went and saw him with the Blue Willow bookshop. Did an event with him, and it was so cool. And so he was very involved in the show. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah. I need
So
to
yes,
hop
I've
on
been
his
reading it.
train. I need to hop on the Rick Riordan train and really put some respect on his name because there are so many books that's like Rick Riordan presents. Rick Riordan presents.
Yes.
Presents. Presents.
His
It's like,
imprint is so
okay.
good. Yeah. Yeah. He really he puts his money where his mouth is, like he wanted to do different mythologies, but he said, like I don't know these mythologies. And so he got authors in kind of like an own voices kind of way
I
to
love that.
represent those. So they're very, very good. Yeah. And then I'm looking forward to
Mm.
some holiday rom-coms. I like
Oh.
reading book versions of Hallmark movies basically that are awful,
That's
terrible. They're like
funny. I cannot.
Oh, they're
But to
they're
each
so
their
bad,
own.
but
To each
yeah.
their own. That is so funny. I was in a book club with my friends, and honey, my friends have terrible taste. Friends, if you're listening, I don't like y'all books.
That's the book club, it gets you out of your comfort zone, right? Like,
It does, and I was like, I'm picking all the books from here on out.
what are you
'Cause,
reading?
I'm reading. I'm listening to. Well, I just finished listening to like today actually, "The Darkest Child" by Delores. Ooh, I don't forgot her last name. Oh, Delores Phillips.
Oh, okay.
And that's so good. 1950s, 60s, black family, and just some good Southern drama.
Love
Um,
it.
yeah. And I'm also reading MexiKid right now.
I just got that in the library. I just ordered it.
Yeah,
Is it
the kids love it. The kids
good?
love
Oh,
it. That's always gone. So it was
nice.
a pleasure, girl. Look at
Thank
that.
you so much for having me. I feel so
Time's up.
honored.
I feel like we could keep going, but
I know.
look, I got a lot of compliments about the podcast being short, so we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it short.
All right, we will just have to kiki another day.
Yes, and we'll have Rachel come back another time, perhaps, if she'd be so gracious, because it was wonderful.
Anytime, anytime I get to spend with you is a pleasure.
Before you go, please tell
Yes.
our listeners where they can find you.
So on Instagram, I am at Rachel Reads. Rachel is spelled Rachael Reads. And then on Twitter and TikTok, I'm Rachel Reads with an underscore after it.
All right, well, you guys be sure to follow Rachel because she will have the content, have you laughing, honey. Little loud a crocodile. All right, Rachel,
Keep
thanks
me young.
again.
Thank you.
She is so funny. I freaking love Rachel. Thanks for listening to us be silly and chat about our libraries and a little extra. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review, sharing with a friend, or following for more content. Next week, I am so excited to share my chat with the incredible librarian and leader of the new cool, none other than Billy Allen.